So we just stomped our way to victory with a deck that's Dynamite. What's up, guys, and welcome back to main.phaze TV. So I wanted to bring y'all another deck profile with another deck that I've been playing, but it's one that we played before. It's one of my favorite decks, and I've said this countless times. It's such an underrated deck. And if I haven't said it countless times, I'm saying it now. So yesterday we went to locals over at Bears by the Mall, and we ended up getting first place with none other than Dinomorphia. As you know, and I've said it before on this profile, this is probably one of my favorite decks to play, and being that it's a very strong rogue deck, there's many ways to play around certain decks. This deck actually does very well against Tenpai and other meta decks. I think the only one that I was struggling with was Snake Eye, and we happened to go against two Snake Eyes and a Tenpai Kashtira Horus deck in the finals, and that was pretty fun. We got that one 2-0, and it got to a point where the only play he had was to attack and to try to add one of the dragons. However, he would still take damage, and he was at 600 life points, and my monsters were too big for his dragons to survive, and they just became prehistoric. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get into the deck profile, but before we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below what your favorite rogue deck is. I'm excited for the new meta coming out soon. I will be more than likely doing Fiendsmith, Ubel, and I'm excited for that. I still got to learn the combos, but we'll get to that. So let's get into it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get in the main deck. I did make some changes from the last deck profile that I've done for Dinomorphia, but you'll see right now. So starting off with 3 Theresia. Theresia is your starter. She is your main girl. She sets a Dinomorphia trap card from deck to field, so it's not ashable. I've said this countless of times. We have 3 Diplos. I tried 2 at one point, but 2 is just, I don't know, it's bad. That third one comes up. So 3, this helps you foolish. Most people don't really go into Diplos because it's just foolish any card, but the thing is you can extend your plays through Diplos during a match. So if you already have a Kentrigina on field, you need a Rex, you just normal summon Diplos, foolish, a fusion trap, or if you want to help float or kind of attack for game or whatever the case may be, this is the guy to kind of help you along with Kentrigina. He doesn't do much. The burn effect isn't really too relevant, but there are certain ways to at least make use of him for the most part. Then we're playing 3 Shifter. I know, ban the card, it's toxic. However, as a trap deck, we do horrible going second. So Shifter, all it's there for is to limit your opponent's plays or just make them not play, and then we basically get turn 1 even though we lost the dice roll. Tenpai learns this lesson very, very quick. If they win the dice roll and they make you go first, perfect. So this, against Tenpai, this deck is perfect. Like, they really don't have too many outs or can really do anything because Rexstrom. But Shifter helps against Snake Eye. They basically end either on a Fucho, or they end up with a monster in the spell trap zone with the field spell, and then they end up with Populous and Ash on the field in, they're as bodies. However, Shifter is there to just basically help us out. Then we have 3 Frenzy. That was it for the monsters. Now we're on to the traps. 3 Frenzy. This is your good fusion. Sends 1 from the main deck. Sends 1 from the extra deck. Fusion summons less materials from your main deck, and it helps you get into Rex. You could technically just go into Rex from this. However, depending on how you do it, I would suggest that you be careful, because since we're in a hand trap format, Talents is active. If you do Kentrigina, unless you have a Solemn Judgment or a Dark Bribe or Iron Thunder, don't do it. Or if you're running Mist, because I know I used to run Mist, don't do it. Don't go into Kentrigina and use the effect unless you have a way, like I said, to bring him back or whatever the case may be. Domain. Honestly, the more that I play this deck, the more I like Domain. In the beginning, I really don't like it too much. But in the mid game, towards the end game, Domain becomes a little stronger than Frenzy. And the reason why I say that is because there are multiple times where I no longer have my main deck monsters in the deck. There's sometimes you have it in hand. And so Domain at that point comes in clutch because you can just use that, or you normal summon Theresia or Diplos or whoever it is that you have in hand, and then you do the following effect, and then you can activate your Domain to fusion summon again. Typically, I try to use Frenzy first and then Domain last to help on the grind games, because Domain is very, very nice. Next, for the other Dinomorphia cards, is Intact. This is basically a Solemn Strike, but instead of paying 15, you are only paying half your life points. I say only, but this deck loves when you pay half your life points. And the turn that you activate it and it resolves, you're not dying for that turn. So Tenpai can't really kill you, and they have a horrible follow-up. So, like I said, they really can't do anything against this deck, honestly. Then you have 2 Alert. I used to play 1, but 2 does come up, and then there's also another reason why we're playing 2. But man, 2 Alerts is so good. You know, even if you don't have a Rex, you know, in the end phase, you can just do Alert, bring back Theresia, bring back Diplos, use their effects, and then so on and so forth. That way you have extra bodies on the field, and you're able to go into your Xyz plays. And then the last Dinomorphia card that we're playing is Brute. I'm only playing a 1-of because with Brute, you have to destroy one of your monsters and one of their cards. That's the only issue. Yes, they float, but depending on how stacked your grave is with traps, it cannot be that great. But a 1-of is fine because it's searchable anyway, and it does help out things like the field spell if you don't have a Judgment. It helps out, you know, some of your Horus stuff, or your opponent's Horus stuff, or whatever the case may be. Brute is still very nice. Also, you can technically use Brute twice with Kentrigina, and so that definitely does help. There was one time where I used Brute after I attacked with Rex, use Brute, pop my Rex, pop one of his cards, use Rex floating effect to bring out Kentrigina to go for game, but my opponent had Ghost Spell. 50-50 chance, big risk, big reward, but you also lose big if it doesn't fall through. Now for the non-engine trap cards, we're using 3 Judgment. This is the best card of the deck. Like, I absolutely love Judgments. We're playing 3 Iron Thunders. Iron Thunders is basically like Judgment. It reminds me of like Mech Knight. So the other effect of it is when you negate it, you destroy everything in that column as well. So depending on where they have their monster or whatever the case, or spell trap card that they activate, wherever it is, be mindful where you place your cards. And I think it's like most of the PTSD from the Mech Knight, but I try not to stack, you know, everything in the same column, just in case. But you do have to be mindful of when you activate it and where they're activating their cards when you use this card. But it's still basically just Solemn Judgment, Spell Trap. The only difference is you can negate a monster's effect on field. So if they use Snake Eye Ash, Sen itself, and Populous, you can still Iron Thunder because it activated on field. I know some people don't know that or think about that because, oh, it's engraved now. But it has to be on field. Hand grave, no go. And then we're running 2 Solemn Strikes. I know sometimes some people run 3. I was running 3, but the issue is 3,000. By the time, like, once you start fusion summoning, you only have room for 1 more Solemn Strike unless you bring out Sylph Bergia, and Sylph Bergia doesn't really come up too often. And it's very situational. So 2 Solemn Strike has been the sweet spot for me. It's been very, very nice, and it kind of helps. Plus, we're using other stuff to stop ashes and, you know, hand traps. And the other 2 cards are Debunk. Debunk basically negates the activation of an effect monster's effect that activates in hand or in grave. So if you don't have a Solemn Strike, if you don't have an Intact, but you have a Debunk, then that helps your fusion go through also. If you fusion summon and without having to negate their Ash, for Snake Guy, for example, they do Princess effect, target their monster, target Rex or Kenchigina, then you can just debunk. You know, I mean, I wouldn't, if I were them, I wouldn't target Kenchigina at all. Wait till the Rex comes out. However, you just debunk, now you banish their Princess. Or they use Flamberge, you know, for whatever reason, debunk, negate, and you banish it. So, debunk has been very good. I need 3. I'm working on getting 1 more. Because debunk is just really great to me. The next 3 cards, that's basically it for the counter traps. The next 3 cards are Ferret Flames. Ferret Flames is just absolutely broken. On my match against Tenpai, he went to the battle phase. He had everything on field at the start of the battle phase. Activate Ferret Flames and shuffle everything back. He took my Rex, which was fine, because we could just bring out another Rex or another Kenchigina just to go for game. But Ferret Flames is amazing. It hits unaffected monsters because this affects your opponent, not the monsters. This helps clear board if you're trying to go for game on your turn. It's just amazing, and it's not once per turn. So, and then the last 3 trap cards are Trap Tricks. I, in the beginning, was very hesitant about it. However, Trap Tricks basically guarantees you 6 Ferret Flames, 6 Domain, 6 Frenzies. It's just more consistent than it is like a brick or anything. And in all honesty, let me see. You can do, it's 3 alerts, you know, so it definitely helps out a lot. If I need to get alert, you know, I have Trap Trick to do that. It's a really good card, honestly. I don't think I would change that. And yeah, the only issue that I have with it is that once you activate it, you can only activate 1 trap card for the rest of that turn. So typically Trap Trick is the last thing I'm gonna do. Or I'll do it in the end phase when I know my opponent's passing and there's nothing more or less he can do. And he's already set cards. The last 3 cards that I am playing are 2 Super Polys. Because like I said, going second is very bad for this deck. And 1 Call by the Grave. However, I don't think I'm going to continue with Super Polys. I want to replace the Super Polys and maybe the Call by the Grave with Dark Bribes. The reason being is that it stops spells and traps. I hate it. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't hate it, but the only reason why I wouldn't want to run Dark Bribes is because the draw 1. And the reason why that's conflicting is 1, they can gain advantage, right? They basically don't lose anything. 2, that 1 draw can definitely be that 1 out that they need to just wipe your board or whatever the case may be. 3, if they activate Prosperity that turn like Tenpai, you cannot Dark Bribe, because the moment they activate it, it locks them out of drawing. So Dark Bribe would be an illegal activation. So there's multiple pros and cons. So if there's another card that y'all know of that I can use to stop spells and traps, or you know, another counter trap that may be, because I'm honestly leaning more towards the counter trap build, which seems to be pretty nice because it just stops chains. Your opponent cannot respond to it. So if you can just stop that immediately, it's perfect. So if y'all have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. That way I can do a little more research, and that way for my Dinomorphia community, we can build something so where somebody can actually do a little more than just topping locals with the deck, because the deck is super fun. I know some people don't like it. I know my brother has personal issues with this deck because he just absolutely hates it. He can't do anything. But for the Dinomorphia community, we love it, and we're going to continue playing it. But yes, so this is a 40 card field, and onto the extra deck. Alright, so for the extra deck, we are running 3 Stealth Bergias. This is mainly used as your fusion fodder for Frenzy. I like to use 2, you'll almost never use the third. However, sometimes I like to leave a third and use a Kentrigina, because typically you only use 2 Kentriginas on the field and you put them in grave. The reason being is because there are some times that the effect of Stealth Berserker to burn your opponent for the monster's effect attack can help you win games. Other than that, there's nothing really. I mean, it has a big defense. It's 25 defense, so if Fenrir is negated, you know, it can't beat over it. If, you know, whatnot, like, Stealth Berserker does come up. The next 3 are Kentrigina. Kentrigina is a big body. A lot of people are citing skill drain in. I don't know why, because she becomes 4K. She's absolutely big. She's thick. The other effect of Kentrigina copies any normal Dinomorphia trap in grave. It banishes for cost and pays half your life for cost. It is a quick effect. So on summon, if they use Ghost Mourner, you can chain to Ghost Mourner on your opponent's turn to fusion summon. Just be careful because of talents. She also floats. They all float and when they're destroyed by a battle or card effect. So keep that in mind. But she's amazing. She's basically your second part of the engine to help things go in and bring out Rex. And speaking of Rex, we are playing 3 Rexstrom. I think there's been a handful of times where I have 2 Rex on the field. There's been once, and that was against the homie Fail, where back at Hero's Hideout, back in town, where I had 3 Kentrigina on the field. And that's to play around Super Poly. He was playing it. And some people are still playing Super Poly. So that's something you have to be mindful with this deck, is because it loses to Super Poly so easy, and for us to get them back is a little difficult if you don't have the right cards. So with that being said, if you want to summon out 3 Kentriginas, 2 on their turn, 2 on their turn, 1 on your turn, by all means. That's one way to play around Super Poly. Domain is the main card that I use to play around Super Poly, depending on what I'm going against. So just keep that in mind when you're playing this deck. Rexstrom says your opponent can't activate monsters that they control on the field only. Hand, grave, your opponent's still good to activate whatever they want. It can be targeted. And Rexstrom also has another effect, quick effect, change the attack of all your opponents. You pay half your life points for cost, and at the result, whatever your life points are becomes your opponent's attack. So it's good if you know they're about to out your Rex, you can use the effect, and that way whatever else you have left on the field, your opponent can't attack over it. But they can still use effects. So like I said, people are citing or main decking Fenrirs to help for going second. So it definitely doesn't stop Fenrir from banishing other stuff face down, but it does help to kind of watch how you do things, and potentially live that turn if you haven't used Intact or don't have Intact engrave. The Xyz monsters. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Now for the Super Poly targets, you have your main targets, Garura, and you have Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon is good against your Voiceless Voice with a trap card, because they cannot target if you Mud Dragon in the draw or standby phase only, because the trap is only in the main phase to protect your darks. Garura is basically just your extra draw, because as you can see, I'm not playing Pot of Duality, I'm not playing Prosperity, I'm not playing Wannabe. I used to. Like I said, I'm just testing everything with this deck, and in all honesty, this has been the best build I've built so far, based on my play style. Full discretion. The way I'm playing, I absolutely love Trap Trick. Wannabe is great for just kind of digging through. Prosperity is great, but you do half damage. And yes, you can look at the top 6, choose exactly what it is what you want. Counter traps or not. And Duality is great. However, during towards the end game or whatnot, if you draw a piece or you excavate and you add a piece from Duality, you can no longer special summon that turn. So that limitation itself, I don't like. Now for the Xyz, we're doing 1 Typhon. Typhon's amazing with this deck. If your opponent has special summon more than twice from the extra deck, you can normal summon Theresia, set the counter trap, or set your Frenzy or whatever it is that you need and then slap a Typhon, you know, attack over the SP or whatever the case may be, and Typhon is a lifesaver. And it doesn't really affect you too much. Yes, the only difference is you can bring out Rex, or you can't bring out Rex, but you can still use Kentrigina, you know, effect, because by that time she's still 2000. But just keep that in mind. But Typhon does slow them down. If you're going against Snake Eye, it's a 50-50 because other monsters are lower than 3000. The other Xyz is Logia. Logia is the Spell Trap negate, Special Summon negate, and I believe normal summon as well. Yep. So normal summon, special summon, Spell Trap activation. Really nice towards end game when you get main control. Typically, by the time I bring this out, my opponent's already lost. At that time, they're just trying to hold me in time. And that's something you have to be wary of. And then the last two for the extra deck: Raider's Knight and Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon. This is my OTK. Some people like to use the Ash synchro with Rexturn, go into Psychic End Punisher. I love End Punisher because it stacks up so cute, like up to like 11,000-12,000, which is insane. However, the issue is that you have to run hand traps, and right now Ash Blossom is pretty bad. You can do Ghost Ogre, normal summon Ghost Ogre, you can do that too. I believe Ghost Boner is a tuner, you can do that as well. But the thing is that just plays more into, if you have to use those hand traps, you have to play into talents when you use them. So it's a 50-50, like I said. Raider's Knight detaches one target itself. To rank up, you go into Arc Rebellion. Arc Rebellion will negate everything on board and gain all the original attack of the monsters on the field. So I think against my Tenpai opponent, he went up to 8,000, and the monsters he had on field stayed negated. I had him on the field, and be mindful, the attack gain does not go away, it stacks. So if he's 8,000 now, he's 8,000 on your opponent's turn. There's no till the end of the turn. So I had Arc Rebellion Dragon, and I had a very large 39 something Kentrigina. This package alone I think is great. If when I remove Super Poly for the targets, I'm probably gonna put either Tornado Dragon, Abyss, maybe Abyss Dweller, because Abyss Dweller kind of does affect us on the floating effects. I'm gonna try different rank 4s. SP Little Knight isn't really that great in this deck because I feel like you lose more than you gain from using SP Little Knight. So that's the reason why I'm not running SP Little Knight. Along with your boys broke. If y'all want to donate a SP Little Knight, let me know. You're more than welcome to. But yes, so these will more than likely be 2 more Xyz monsters instead of Psychic End Punisher and SP Little Knight. Like I said, you can do that. It's all based on your playstyle and what you prefer. My build may not be for everybody's build. If anything, just use it as a base, and then make your own adjustments accordingly, either to your locals or what you think people are going to be playing at the regionals. If you use the deck completely, you net deck, I'm not going to blame you. I will not hold it against you. And if you do great, I would love to hear it and what your matchups were and what your opinions are on this build when you play it. So, onto the side deck. Alright, side deck. This side deck I had in mind for meta and meta only. Against Rogue, we don't really struggle too much. We don't really struggle against meta either, but either way, it's still good overall, in my opinion. So we have 3 evenly matched. Like I said, going second we are bad with, so evenly matched does help when the Tenpai player decides to go first for once and they want to go into Hieratic Seals, and they want to set 3 and set 3 pass. So this helps clear the board. This helps clear the board against Snake Eye. This kinda helps with the Voice's Voice, not really, because 1, you can't target, 2, we're not running imperms, and 3, they have Omni Negate anyway. So, but everything else, it's perfectly fine. It's not too bad. The next traps that we're playing are 2 Thunder of Ruler. If you don't know what this card does, it basically tells your opponent you get no battle phase. You have to activate it in their standby phase. This is mainly for tempi. They can't have, if they don't have a battle phase, they can't kill you. That's the only reason why. I'm only playing 2 because of trap tricks. So technically we have 5 Thunder of Rulers that we can get to. If we hard draw it, perfect. That means we can use our trap trick for something else. And that something else is Dimensional Barrier. Dimensional Barrier is for Tempis, it's for Voiceless Voice, it's for Branded. It's for everything that's based off of a certain type of summoning mechanic, such as fusion synchros, rituals, Xyz, pendulums, because we don't like pendulum, nobody does. Just kidding. But, not really. But Dimensional Barriers, again, 2 of, because we have the trap tricks, it is technically searchable and there's multiple ways to get to your Dimensional Barriers. Alright, so for the next cards in this, in the side deck, we are using Magnamut, Druid Swarm, Baldric. The Bestial package, I'm doing 1 of each. This could be 2 Druid Swarms, but the only reason why I'm running Baldrics is because the negate that he has and all your monsters are dark anyway. But this package also helps go for game. If they don't have darks, like if you're not going against Voiceless Voice, there's really no point in banishing your own stuff. Just go for the low, or go for the other one that Ritual summons by banishing from grave. I can't remember the name, sorry. But you can also banish yours if you're not going against Voiceless Voice. You know, banish your Diplos, because nobody really likes Diplos anyways, and you know, help put pressure on board against your opponent. The other 3 monsters that we're playing on the side deck are 3 Phantasmes. Phantasme helps prevent from targeting. This is mainly for Snake Eye. This helps draw and dig into your deck if they don't ash it for whatever reason. More than likely they probably would if they know you're on Dinomorphia. They know you need the draws. But Phantasme is good for helping with the OTK. It's good for drawing into your deck or digging into your deck more for your trap cards. And so that's the reason why I'm playing it. I've only attempted it once and it got ashed. So, with that being said, we're still going to keep it in. I still want to try it. I'm still testing it. If anything changes, I definitely will keep you up to date with everything. And then the last 2 cards are 1 Lightning Storm, 1 Feather Duster. But when it comes to this deck, I absolutely have fun playing it. There's definitely crazy interactions, and I love seeing everybody's reaction to the tech cards, I guess you can say, or call them like debunk when I activate them. And they're just like, what the hell does that card do? So if there's any situations that come up, any certain scenarios, or anything that, if there's any certain interactions that come up, I'll definitely make sure to write them out, because I feel like this deck, although it's simple, it's also complicated at the same time on when to activate, when to play. I'm gonna try to get some gameplay footage next week over at Final Boss. I'll make sure to get my locals experience video out there for y'all and try to record as much as possible, and then that way I can come back and explain a little bit more in depth as to what we're doing, why we're doing it, and the sequencing that we could have done if we do misplay, because it does happen to the best of us. But I'm hoping that we all learn together. I can help y'all, y'all can help me, and we just learn from each other, because that's the point of the game, right? The point is to just have fun, make friends, great experiences, and just learn how to play your decks and learn how to get better as a player, and get better as a player. So with that being said, I will see y'all next time. I appreciate y'all swinging by, and I appreciate the love and support y'all have. Welcome to all the new subscribers to the channel. I hope y'all enjoy the videos that will be coming out soon. And let's get ready for Nats off in Texas. So once we get there, trust me, I will get y'all a vlog for that. I'm excited for y'all. So I'll see y'all guys next time. And again, peace and love.